following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangy coming to you with a review of a Transformers figure that I got a few months ago, and unfortunately I am really far behind in my reviews, but without further delay, let's take a look at Transformers Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Deluxe Class Autobot Road Rocket. What a mouthful it is to say the names of these Transformers figures these days. But yeah, here is Road Rocket, and Road Rocket is a character from the Transformers Generation 2 universe, as you can see right there above the name. There's the G2 Autobot logo, and unfortunately from the reviews I've seen, actually I'm looking at a product photo here on the box. I said this in my review of Legacy Wreck and Roll Leadfoot in my previous review, that I'd like to see at least one G2 Transformers character who's an Autobot have the G2 Autobot logo on them, and here on the product photos it looks like Road Rocket might be the first in a very long time to actually have that here. Now, there's an interesting history with Road Rocket. In the original Generation 2 franchise, Road Rocket was, according to the Transformers Wikipedia, a male Transformers character, and here for the new Legacy figure of Road Rocket, being a repaint of the Transformers Legacy Wave 1 Prime Arcee figure, with the only difference being a new head sculpt, Road Rocket has now been turned into a female Transformers character, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is because when Road Rocket was first announced to be released in the Velocitron Speedia 500 collection, and being released as a Walmart exclusive here in the United States, Hasbro originally said that just like the original Generation 2 version, Legacy Road Rocket here was supposed to be a male Transformers character, but after the figure was released and it was noted that the only difference between Road Rocket and Prime Arcee was a different robot mode head, Hasbro then announced that Road Rocket had in fact gone through a gender swap, and Road Rocket, the Legacy version, is a female character instead. And so that's just an interesting thing to note about Road Rocket, is that this character underwent a sex change thanks to Hasbro. So yeah, Road Rocket is a female Transformers character, but in the original Generation 2 franchise, Road Rocket was a male Transformers character, so that's an interesting decision on Hasbro's part to make Road Rocket go from a male to female Transformers character just because of the figure they decided to use to release a modern day version of this Transformers character. So there's Road Rocket in motorcycle mode, some artwork of motorcycle mode up there on the top of the box. You got some artwork of Road Rocket in her robot mode. You've got slightly enlarged version of that artwork here on this side of the box, and there's Road Rocket. There's her new head sculpt, and she is, as far as I'm aware, the first in the handful of Autobots from the Transformers Generation 2 franchise to actually have the G2 Autobot logo on her instead of the G1 version. So that's really nice to see there. Here on this side of the box, the artwork here wraps around to the side. Right, again, the only difference sculpt-wise between Road Rocket and Legacy Prime Arcee is the robot mode head sculpt. So there's Road Rocket in robot mode and in vehicle mode, and she transforms back and forth between both modes in 21 steps. And of course, she's from the Generation 2 universe. And that's pretty much it. Due to the Velocitron Speedia 500 figures being transformed into their alt modes, this is the only version of the mold that's been packaged in the box in motorcycle mode. So we will be starting with that, and we will end in robot mode. Oh, but yeah, overall, despite only having a new head sculpt, I do believe that Road Rocket did come out looking pretty neat looking. From the photos I've seen on the Transformers Wikipedia, the paint job is very true to the original Generation 2 action figure that was released back in the 1990s. And yes, Road Rocket does come with the exact same weapons that Prime Arcee came with. So without further delay, let's get her out of her box and take a close look at her in motorcycle mode. Alright, so here is Road Rocket out of the package and in her motorcycle mode. And I gotta say, it is really nice to have a figure of a Transformers character that I don't have a previous action figure of in my collection. I honestly, since I don't really follow on the Transformers characters who were created and introduced in the Transformers Generation 2 line. I didn't even know the character of Road Rocket existed until the Legacy figure here was announced. So, yeah, she is pretty decent looking. I'm really enjoying her mostly red and black paint job with the metallic blue highlights. There's some here on the back of her, right below her weapons, and there's these metallic blue stripes, which end up being her shins in robot mode. And then, of course, you've got clear blue plastic on the windshield and the headlights, and my bedroom lamp is making the headlights look like they're glowing. It's very reflective plastic used on there, so it's pretty fantastic to see. And of course, she has a kickstand, so if you wanted to have her sit on a solid surface, you can do that. The front wheel spins fairly well. The back one doesn't spin too much, and I don't think it's because it splits in half, but because of how it spins around. It's very weak in the back. But overall, pretty fantastic figure for being a repaint with a new robot mode head sculpt of Legacy Prime Arcee. And speaking of that figure, here is Road Rocket next to Legacy Prime Arcee. And essentially, all that Hasbro and Takara really did was swap out all of the parts on this figure that were blue and replace them with red. And at least at first glance, that's what it is. Road Rocket and Arcee, they do have some paint highlights that are distinct from each other, such as the striped sections on the robot mode shins, which ends up being the bottom of the motorcycle. But yeah, overall, they're both pretty fantastic looking. One of the other differences is that the brake lights here on Arcee are yellowish orange, and on Road Rocket, I think they're supposed to be silver. But yeah, overall, pretty nice looking. And then, of course, some of the parts on Arcee that were gunmetal gray, such as the exhaust pipe. It's black here on Road Rocket. So, from the reviews I've already seen, the same positive and negative aspects of this figure are also the same here on Road Rocket. But yeah, it's pretty much all there is to say about motorcycle mode. If you have the Legacy Prime Arcee figure, then with Road Rocket you're really not getting much new. All you're really getting is the red paint job and of course the different robot mode head sculpt. You got the same exact weapons as well, whereas on this figure it's like a solid blue clear plastic, and this one it's more of like a light turquoise, and then these highlights here are the sculpted detailing is painted black, so it looks like a ninja throwing star, or when you combine it into the energy disc. But yeah, overall, pretty nice, pretty fantastic how a paint job can make two identical motorcycles look somewhat different compared to each other. So without further delay, let's get Road Rocket transformed into her robot mode. We'll see her robot mode, the new head sculpt, and we'll wrap up the review from there. Alright, so here's Road Rocket transformed into her robot mode. Here's a close-up of her new head sculpt. Oh, that's very true to the original Road Rocket figure, and it does have pretty decent light piping if you can get a bright enough light to shine on the back of the head. Which is made out of clear plastic, and that's a nice callback to the fact that light piping was in fact introduced in the Transformers Generation 2 line. So yeah, pretty nice head sculpt here on Road Rocket. It's just like the original Road Rocket figure. Got a blue mouth plate. Helmet's almost mostly black. And yeah, there's the G2 Autobot logo right there. So that's really nice to finally see a Generation 2 Autobot that has the actual original Generation 2 Autobot logo on there. Again, Road Rocket has the same weapons that came with Legacy Prime Arcee. You got this disc here that's supposed to act like a ninja throwing star, and then you got this like dual turbine, like crossbow type weapon. And I won't go into articulation too much since I covered it in my Legacy Prime Arcee figure. But yeah, Road Rocket's got one of the same flaw where the middle of the torso doesn't really lock into place, so if you're not too careful, it will flop back right there at the abdomen. And yeah, there's some loose joints in the arms and legs, but there's other joints that are tight. So as far as looseness of joints goes, it's right down the middle. One thing that I am disappointed to see is that if you look here on the inside of Road Rocket's a double turbine crossbow, it's unpainted black plastic, yet here on the product photo on the back of her box, it shows that Hasbro originally wanted to paint the inside night silver, so it's a shame that paint job was dropped. Because if they could do it for Legacy Prime Arcee, I don't understand why they couldn't do it here for Road Rocket. So, for a size comparison, here's Road Rocket next to Prime Arcee. I said in my original review of her, the main reason I got this figure was because some collectors pointed out that the Legacy Prime Arcee figure, that just barely, with a little imagination, the figure can act as Generation 1 on Solus Prime, so that's what I call this figure, is Solus Prime. But yeah, again, the only difference between the two figures is the different head sculpt here, along with the paint job. You can have the weapons in different configurations if you want to further distinguish Road Rocket from this figure here. But overall, it is a pretty great having this figure in my collection. As I said, this has become the first and only action figure of Road Rocket that I have in my Transformers collection. So for the proverbial question, do I recommend getting the Transformers Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Deluxe Class Road Rocket figure, even if you have Legacy Prime Arcee? I absolutely do recommend you get this figure. This is only the second action figure that Road Rocket has been given, the first being the original Generation 2 action figure a year or so. It's literally been, because there's only two figures of this action figures of this character that have been released across a time span of 30 years, I highly recommend you get this figure if you see it. I saw some videos recently where some collectors who've gone looking for Transformers action figures at Walmart, they've noticed that Road Rocket's one of the figures that's show forming right now from the Velocitron Speedia 500 collection. But yeah, I do recommend you get Road Rocket because you cannot go wrong having this figure in your Transformers collection. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been the Tia at FanGeek, and until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, Transformer, roll out. Goodbye, everyone.